Hey Thomas, how are you going today? Welcome to this another webinar series, podcast series. How are
Yeah,
you?
thank you, Dharam. I'm very happy, that we continue these kind of podcasts and webinars and talk about interesting recent things. And as of today, so this is the last session before the Christmas season here, and then let's see what we do in 2025.
Exactly. Yeah, this is exciting that we have done another, I think, 12 webinar podcasts this year.
Yeah,
And altogether, 77th, maybe this year was 77th session.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so that takes a lot of effort from somebody to do the 77th session, the 77 hours at least, plus preparation, and then share or putting together
yeah.
videography and all those things all take a lot of time. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a huge effort on your side also, preparing it, but I know you have your staff, helping you with preparing and also with cutting the videos later so that it's not
yeah,
too much noise in it.
exactly. So, Thomas, today's topic, an interesting one, especially for people who are running or like to see how to run or how the mega projects are done. So, the topic we have is leadership challenges, delivering the world's largest projects,
Yeah.
mega projects. How So it's interesting. So the topic is very interesting. Would you like to
Yeah.
share some experience around mega projects?
Well, I don't have really the experience being on a mega project myself, yeah, but I'm involved in research about that, and the current research, if you look at what the papers and books coming out,
Yeah,
are very much around mega projects, and there is a huge group of researchers in the UK, especially, which is looking at mega projects and the examples here, the HS2 railroad line in the UK and others. And also Ben Fleifberg, who is teaching and researching in the UK. He is one of the outspoken leaders of that
yeah,
research. He's looking at these big projects since 20 years or so, and he had a very nice analysis about all Olympic Games,
yeah,
so he listed all of them and tried to find out the cost overruns and schedule overruns and whatever they have. So this is the beginning of mega project research, I would say. But now, I know just 2 or 3 weeks ago there was a big conference about mega projects in Italy, and some people also presented and attended and discussed. I couldn't go there, but the proceedings will be there, and it's a lot of discussion about it. Mega projects, what are they? What are they? And some researchers define them at very large scale, complex projects that typically require substantial investment, money,
yeah,
upfront you put there, involve multiple stakeholders, even multiple organizations or even multiple countries, and has significant impacts. And with impacts, I mean, well, they mean impacts that go beyond, the timeline. If you look at Olympic Games, you build an Olympic village, you build venues, everything and infrastructure. And this is going to persist for 10, 20, 30 years and hopefully benefiting the population and society in this area. So this Ben Flyberg, he wrote some articles, and just 5, 6 years ago, he had one of them saying, failing again and again and again. Yeah. So the point was a little bit of desperation. We don't find a solution to run mega projects successfully upfront.
yeah,
I have my opinion on that in the research, though maybe we'll reflect on that later. But it's a problem, and it's not only a problem for research, but also a problem for countries because most of the mega projects are getting up to the stakeholder decision level of country governments. It's not. not just one company doing a mega project, but if you build, let's say, a new tunnel between Germany and Denmark, then you have two governments and a lot of you have all the naval things, and there are a lot of stakeholders with interests and with impact on that project. And the other thing is, I said the impact is often coming other than with a normal project. When you finish the project, you have created a product. That's it. uh, and you can use the product. It's there. But with a program, the impact, what you're looking at, the benefits and the values, they might come after 5 or after 10 years. Famous example is the Sydney Opera House, and we might mention this again and again because it's really famous. The project manager was fired. The architect never did the other building after that. A lot of people really were damaged in their reputation and what they did. And if you look at it now, Australia and Sydney, well, this is the icon of this country, of this city, and everybody loves it. And it even might be profitable, in their operations when they have their concerts and everything. But during the building process, it was a disaster.
Mm.
But now nobody said it was a disaster. Nobody cares what it did it cost. It's long, long ago, and it's the same for many other projects. If you look at the Scottish Parliament, Edinburgh, it's the same thing. They had a initial budget, and I think it 20-fold came out, and it was delayed and delayed. But now the Scottish and the Edinburgh people, they are proud of it, and it's working. It's somehow functioning.
Mm.
Uh, it's not to say that every mega project creates something that is functioning. Maybe some fail very deeply, but the good examples are, if you look at this, it's really often that after some years, they might fail
Mm.
as a let's say delimited program or project, but after 5 or 10 years, then you can see the real benefits, and that's very natural. Even with some projects, you deliver, let's say, a SAP implementation, and then it's there, go live. Now we use it. But is it successful in business lines? You only can see that after 1 year
Yep.
at most, and maybe after 5 years. If the costs go down, if the people still use it appropriately. So we are used by small projects that we do something, and then at the end of the project, we can find out, it's successful or not, or whatever, But and
Yep.
we judge it, and we give the incentive to the project manager or fire him, So we are used to judge about the success of an initiative at the end. But with mega projects, that's not possible, and because you have to extend the timeline and see how it impacts the society and everything around it. And these mega projects, the research is a little bit desperate in the moment, and what they are discovering more and more is it's not a technical problem in mega projects. It's very much a holistic view which is needed, and which includes the human component, all the stakeholders, and that's good that we talk about leadership, because leadership also are the humans, and it's not only one person. It's a it's a whole governance system around it, Berlin Airport is delayed and cost several times the initial budget. And the problem is it's very easily identifiable. There are three different German governments involved. Yeah, and they are funding it together,
Yep.
and they sit together at different requirements, and then you ask them for a decision. It's not possible. It's politics, So that's why this was delayed. In the beginning, the plan was to build a very easygoing, simple airport, just for flying in and out. And then somebody came, no, we want to have all these retail shops and everything in there. And then that's a different kind of building,
Yeah.
different kind of infrastructure. And then they extended the whole thing, they blew it up, and then they wanted to go live. And you know what happens? They found out, oh, they forgot to think about the fire protection things.
Oh.
And then they had to revisit the whole thing, you know, and decided newly, considering the fire protection, you know, all these doors and what you have, you know. Um, and you have the scenarios that you have maybe 1,000 people in the building and you have to get out in 2 minutes or whatever, you know. And that's not possible if you just extend the building, extend it in the construction phase, you know, because you have new requirements, and then all these conceptual things that should have been done are not being done. So yeah, that's let's say the intro into mega projects. Maybe one other side aspect, you know, what these guys, they find out that they have a problem to make mega projects work, and then now they look at something which is called the grand challenges and say, okay, maybe if we find out how to deal with mega projects, then we can also tackle the grand challenges. This is the new word. And grand challenges are the things like global warming, you know, raising or flooding, or you know, these big, wicked, multi-stakeholder risky things which are not even projects because they don't have a target. You know,
Yeah.
what is the target for global warming? It's coming, and we have to deal with it.
Yeah.
So what we will do, we will find out while we deal with it. So yeah, so there are deliberate leaps into a planned future. It's not that, you know, but we have instead a process of pursuit and experimentation and discovery, and hopefully, you know, maybe a target is make humanity survive, but I'm not sure many people think about that too.
Yeah. Look, they are the different type of mega projects or giga projects, or whether look in China, whether you look in the Saudi
Oh,
Arabia,
yeah.
we're talking, trillion-dollar work happening in Neom City. So look, there's so much work happening around the world, and you know, and their formation, their delivery, the managing the scope or requirements, supply chain is so complex. Now we need effective leadership in such environment. So why effective leadership is crucial for successfully managing these large scale programs? What do you think?
Yeah, it is another type of leadership. You know, if you talk about leadership in a department or in a
Hmm.
project, you know, then you look at this person, the project manager, department lead, or whatever. But leadership in a mega project is multifold. You
Yep.
know, you can include the whole governance system, governance framework for that program into leadership. As I said about the Berlin airport, you know, three governments involved. So one of the first tasks should be really to make sure that these three governments are heard, but that we nevertheless have a very fast decision-making body, which is authorized by all of these upfront and then can work. You know, this is kind of leadership. Design the governance upfront and make sure the whole thing can be managed and can be driven by decisions and tackle problems that are coming up. And then, you know, whom do you need? Maybe you need different people for that, who are really understanding how governance and politics work, hmm? And design that. And then, yeah, you need also, let's say, these lighthouses, you know, who stand there with a face and maybe can, if it's the CEO of a company or somebody, you know, they have to stand in front of the public, in front of the teams, and make sure they are satisfied in what they hear about the mega project, about how they are involved, how they are affected, and how it's going yeah, to go on. So Berlin Airport, you know, I think they had 5 or 6 different project managers, and they all were fired. Huh? But the last one, you know, because then the last one came in and was could see the experience and then say, okay, we before I come in, I demand that I don't have three sponsors, but one sponsor who tells me what to do and all this stuff.
Mm.
So what you that's what you often do. You know, you start an initiative and you say that's a project and it's small and you there's one guy doing it, you know, and then problems start, and then that's how I came in a big project. You know, I said, okay, the problem is not with technology or requirements or whatever. The problem is really with how we communicate to whom and when, and how we integrate the stuff and how we make decisions. And then and that had nothing to do with technology or with specific requirements of everything, you know. Um, and yeah, so if you get this right, and what I did actually in this project, you know, it was a considered a project. I said, no, it's a program, and I developed a program management office with which had eight functions from design.
Yeah.
In the end, we had five functions that were really working. You know, a function like communication. You know, so a function like that you look at the quality. You know, a function like that you look at the risks. So these are the functions you need to centralize somehow and to make sure that they integrate all these risks and communications from the different projects underneath that are part of that program. And then also, you know, there was one big challenge. You know, we had the different projects in the program which were then somehow integrated, but we also had in ongoing operations, data center operations. And it was not a project anymore, you know, but they also reported to the client and they made decisions and everything. And these decisions often affected the project. So what I did, I said, no, no, this operations goes under the program. And then, you know, decisions will be made on the program level, no, not on the individual operations or project level. So that's what leadership has to do to restructure, to make it simple for stakeholders to understand what's going on and how it's run.
Yeah. I mean, they first of all, as a leader, effective leadership, they are visionary. They can see things, but other people can see. They can visualize. It's saying, okay, this is the land, and guess what? We're going to have a huge building, the tallest building in the world. Really, it's all jungle. But somebody who can visualize it, they can see it, and they can okay. When they see it, that becomes vision of the program project, and everybody can be aligned to that. So.
Yeah.
So for myself,
Well, I recall Olympics game in Vancouver,
hmm,
and so it was a winter Olympics, and they looked for a Olympic program manager, you know, who is managing that on behalf of that Olympic National Olympic Committee.
yeah,
And they selected a guy who had no idea what sports is, you know,
uh-huh,
and who had no idea how to run such a big venue with so many people, you know. And so, but there was a board who was selecting the program manager, and they selected him on purpose. And it came out the purpose was he was somebody who understood very well Canadian culture. And they said, okay, we are doing the Olympic Games for our Canadian nation, you know? And if somebody doesn't understand Canadians, let's say if you bring in a Brazilian guy and try to run that, and he doesn't understand how Canadians perceive and listen and react to something, it will be a disaster. So they found somebody who can talk to Canadians and who can, as you say, you know, convey the vision. But it's also a point how to convey the vision, you know, and which kind of the vision you want to highlight and you need to stress on. So yeah, it's uh, they. By the way, this guy was later somehow uh, fell into the bad bad case, there were some corruption cases and whatever, but nevertheless, during the Olympics, he did an amazing job. And you might remember there were some deaths in that some accidents in that Olympics, and he handled this very well.
Yeah, so that's where some of the project managers, they call project manager, but they are program manager more than that. But how they handle the situation, they take the
Yeah,
whole team together, they make them to believe that this is the direction we are going all and make it successful.
yeah. Well, yeah, give me another aspect which I experienced in my programs. This person experience, anybody who is in leadership in these kind of mega projects, they don't have to care about money, or about budget. So if you have a normal project manager from a small project, you have your budget and you have to be accountable, how you spend it and how much you spend. You have to explain this and be in the details. These guys, they don't care about it, because it will cost any time it will cost more than it was initially uh, communicated. And although these big programs, they have the possibility to create new funding sources, to find
Yeah.
new interested parties and bring in that. And so that's why I think it's a really misnomer to talk about mega projects as projects, because project managers have a view on how to run a project, time, cost, scope. And in a mega project is more about holistic view, all the stakeholder perceptions, engagements, and you will drive the things as you go along. In that respect, this grand challenges are maybe a good target for these kind of leadership, because it's the same thing. You don't care so much about the goal, but
Yeah.
you care about how to proceed in a harmonious and progressing manner.
So you're saying this person may not have to worry too much about the goals and funding?
Well, I was saying, first I talked about budget and funding, because um, I really didn't care much about the budget status, and I created new money, new funding, and it came along
Yeah.
as the project progresses. And then I said, um, looking at these grand challenges, there is no goal in a grand challenge. There is a goal to survive, maybe, yeah, but it's not really a feasible, a tangible goal. So global warming. So what's your goal?
Yeah.
Or world hunger? Yeah, you can have the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and there are goals in there, but it's how they are trying to reach them by individual initiatives, which target to that. And now everybody has to say, okay, I do this and that project, and it contributes to this and that sustainable development goal from the UN.
Yeah.
But it's somehow window dressing, I think. So there is something. So yeah, um, a grand challenge is very clear. There is no goal, but you have to do good work anyhow and make progress,
Yeah.
create value, you know.
Yeah.
And in mega projects, often, you might have a goal to build that, sit the opera house in 5 years for that money, but uh, it's not really feasible. So you see what you get during the program.
Yeah.
So
So, look, I mean, this is an interesting topic, and the leadership qualities and many things we have to think about. That also depends on the motivation of that organization, what they're looking for. Are they worried about the money and the time, or they're worried about the end goal or the benefit for
yeah.
so my question here is, what are some of the most common leadership challenges you have encountered or observed in managing mega projects? And how did you or the leaders involved addressing those challenges?
Mhm. Yeah, I gave you an example of that Olympics games leader in Canada.
Yeah.
And I think if you have a good mega project leader, he will regard this project manager as a subset of life. You know,
Yep.
it's like life is developing, and there come challenges in, you didn't think of, and even your risk management didn't cover them, and you nevertheless has to handle them. Like the Canadian guy, he had to handle some deadly accidents. So maybe you can plan for that, you can have procedures, but you don't want to have them in the first place. And then you have to develop what I call wisdom. And wisdom is a capability to tackle everything in life,
Yeah.
to tackle everything in a mega project. So this kind of wisdom, there are some criteria what it is. It's that you can have different perspectives. You have a good empathy. You have really humility. You are just there in a um, and environment which is changing so much. Tell you another story about a program manager in Singapore. There is this huge building, the hotel with the roof with a swimming pool, and they have these three towers.
Yeah.
And I talked to the architect, to the program manager of that building, and he said, okay, we did a big planning and had all these BIMs, these electronic 3D things, and in the end, from the mid of the thing, nobody had an overview of what's going on.
Yep.
We set up a plan and a schedule and everything. We made contracts and so on. But in the end, what really helped, not to try to look at the details, when is somebody coming in there, but what really helped was to make sure everybody on the venue, knew what we are going to do, and then things would happen. And I think that is also what's happening a lot in these Chinese mega projects, where we are so amazed, they can build a hospital in 3 days,
Yeah.
uh, with beds and everything in there. So yeah, certainly there is a plan and a schedule, and you have to do all these technical things. But what's more important, that everybody has the same mindset, understanding, and vision, and that's what leadership must focus on. The rest will come anyhow.
Yeah. And it's a good example when you say the 3 days during Corona time, COVID time, we have seen that China built this hospital within 3 days with the Lego blocks coming in everywhere, and they suddenly it's
Ah,
multi-story building ready.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, so obviously somebody has to have a vision, and they have to drive everyone in that toward that direction, and they have to show the urgency. There's urgency. We have to get there
yeah,
within the short time, because if not, we have so many people dying, and there can be motivation. We need to align the team members with the bigger motivation, bigger vision. Then only we
yeah,
can drive them towards the this unrealistic time frame.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Um, Interestingly, which is a time frame, unrealistic, we have these mega projects which are always over budget, and the Olympics, and
yeah,
but there was no Olympics who missed the deadline. They all started on time.
yeah,
So, but that's a part of the deal of Olympics. So other mega projects always miss deadlines, but then you can say maybe the deadline is not really it's imposed, but it's not really part of the delivery, or part of the value. But if you deliver Olympic Games 6 months later, forget about it.
yeah. I mean, I remember that the term called Parkinson's theory. Do you know Parkinson's theory?
No, no.
Mhm. So Parkinson's theory talks about the amount of time we have, we tend to take that much amount of time.
Yeah,
So, and I'm
yeah,
thinking because of Olympics, he said, never miss it, because you have no option other than getting done. Late night, day, multiple people working together, cut
yeah, yeah.
corners.
And maybe you somehow try to twitch the scope, adapt it to what you can do in this time, or you have extraordinary efforts and so on. Uh, but yeah, they always did that, and it's amazing. Well,
No, and I'm thinking if they had another 5 minutes, 6 months, that they're probably going to be same place.
yeah, yeah,
Their mind works. But yeah, it depends on the like what is driving them. Like if the money is the driving factor, the constraint we talk about, whether the time is the driving factor, then money may not be the factor. Okay, let's put as many people as we can and
but
get the things done.
actually, I think what regarding Olympics, the national pride
Yep.
is a driving factor, and you can see this not only in Canada, but you can see this in Athens, in Sochi, in Russia, so many people from the whole nations were excited that we, the nation, are now doing Olympics, and then we put in everything that it's happening.
Yeah, and that's important as a leader. If you can see the vision and show them this is the reason we are doing it, we can connect the people with the projects or this how they're going to see this as whether nation's pride or because of some other reason motivation, whether the war going on, whether it's COVID going on, is how
Yep.
we're going to connect everything together.
Yeah.
These people need to, the mindset has to be aligned with the bigger vision. And that's
True.
true, as a leader, who can see things, who can bring people together, as we always talk about stakeholder engagement and connect them, all the dots together so that everybody aligned, they feel motivated, they're excited, they feel proud to be part of such a big initiative. And in the end, when it's done, they look back, yep, we did it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what a pity that the project managers are always fired.
I mean, that's where sometimes I don't know if you heard about sandwich approach. The project manager is the meat in the sandwich,
Yeah, yeah,
and up soft. Everybody see that because of the project manager. If successful, and they say success has many father,
yeah,
failure
yeah.
has none.
It's like I don't know what the English name is for it, but you have your spine, and there are the bones in your spine, and in between are these buffers, and if they break, it hurts.
Yeah. So look, what you can do as a project manager, that's what it is. What happens in politics and many things happen in any company or any country. So let's not worry about it. So, in your experience, how important is cultural diversity within global mega project teams? And
Yeah, it's not only important, it's inevitable, you know.
yeah,
You have you have a huge team, huge stakeholder number from different areas. It's often multi-country, Diversity is something that is not to be avoided, You cannot run with one culture or whatever.
yep,
The same is diversity is inevitable, but it's also chaos is inevitable. It will come, You have to be good in not running into panic if you see a problem, but to stay calm and to understand what the roadmap is, what the North Star is, or however you call it, that you keep your direction. Maybe you deviate, like this, but in the end, you will create some value out of it. And so diversity, as it is inevitable, you have to deal with it. You have to make sure the diversity is also designed. Maybe if you have, let's say, a majority of Germans on the on the team, maybe you want to look at some Brazilians or Japanese or whatever who somehow complement it. You can still design the culture of your team and everything by bringing in opposite views and so on. So it's important if you look at diversity, there is sometimes the misconception is gender diversity, age diversity, whatever. No, no, what we need is cognitive diversity. So we need different understandings, different experience, different brains, which could include emotions, by the way, so the human brain
Yeah.
functions on emotions most of the time, and there is a little bit rationality, and but we need this kind of different brains in the team, and and we can build that, if we have nobody on the team who can do some mathematics, some statistics, well, maybe you look for somebody who is has a mindset to do that, and doing that. Um, and you also have to make sure to use these diversity, which will also be fluctuating during the mega project. If the Olympic Games project, it's 8 years or so, and you have to make sure that you build your team slowly and that you create a culture. Um, and part of the culture is the vision. Part of the culture are these habits and science and beliefs. So they always have this mascot in Olympics, whatever it is, but it's important identification factor for the team. Yeah? And also a good marketing factor to go outside to the public with it. And in diversity, even if you have some national, some local projects, you have to balance the global and the local level, because the local level is maybe overwhelmed with doing. Let's say you go to an to Chile, yeah, or Peru. They never had an Olympic Games. So suddenly they need global assistance to understand what it is, how to run it and everything. So yeah, you need to open up. You cannot do it only locally with your inexperienced resources, but you have to select people who have some experience. So, and then in the end, all this culture and habits and science and beliefs are there to enable trust, within the team, because we all work for the same target. We have to trust each other, and then we can go for that. This famous senator in the NADA headquarters, when she was asked what she's doing here, and she said, "I'm helping to get a man on the moon."
Mhm.
It was a senator, but yeah, she felt it, and she was convinced from the team communications and team events and from the culture that was present in this building.
Yeah, no, you rightly mentioned the importance of cultural diversity. Today, having cultural diversity can be blessing for you, and with a different mindset, different strengths, and if you can do the SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunities, threat, whatever we call, and formulate the team in such a way they're complementing each other. Yes,
Yeah,
some of them are mathematicians, some of them have leadership qualities, some of them are people person, some of them can do good coder, technically very smart.
yeah,
So, and you put a technical smart person to a leadership position, you have a problem. So,
maybe.
the right combination should be formulated with the right people in the team. So that's where the diversity can be useful.
A good technique in these situations, is always to build pairs of opposite characters, which then well, they might be a pain in the ass for each other, but also they might be a good feedback a mirror. When you look in the mirror, say, "What am I doing here?" and ask the right questions. And so over time,
Yeah.
like in every marriage, they will love each other.
All right. Okay. The next question, with the technology's rapidly advancement, how can leaders stay ahead of the curve and successfully integrate innovative technology into the project management practices?
Yeah. So we have now AI,
Hmm.
used everywhere. And I always said, if you are a leader, you have to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
You have to be an early adopter. You have to be not afraid of new things. And but you also have to be sure, if you have something that's functioning and replace it by a new tool or whatever, then be careful what you do because it's a change, and not only a change in technology, but also a change in how people use technology. So, um, but if you are not at the bleeding edge of something, you cannot judge what will work or will not work, and what might be suitable to introduce a change in how you're working. So, uh, and also what I found good is if you have in this big project, somebody who is a kind of architect, who understands the system, all these parts, that are then interacting somehow, and if you can structure the system to make it easily understood, then you are a good architect. That's the point of the architect, to somehow develop a model where you can reflect on your reality and how these things are working. And this architect will also have some good ideas from his work, in my experience, where technology could work, and is needed. Uh, so I'm warning against, that the leader and the program manager should step in and be the best expert on tools. No, he's not,
Yeah. Yeah.
But so these people like architects or whatever the new technology is, specialists on that area should help him to make the right decisions.
I mean, yes, you need to be open mind, like the new technology coming, let's try it out or let's find out more. Then of course work with your architect or SMEs who understand it more to
Yep.
find out is it the best fit for our kind of work, or can we do something, or can we, it's not a good technology for us or something else. So, but your job as a project manager is to find out who can actually help you in that situation,
Yeah.
who understand the technology, who can help you in getting, understanding the technology. Maybe they can help you and get implemented faster, and you can be ahead of curve.
Yeah.
Mm. So, I mean, just one example, when I was working for HP and setting this cloud data center, it was, yes, very tough, another mega program. I thought it was a mega, but it's still in the two digits, $30 million work, but unrealistic time frame. Now we are about to go live, and then we have a backup issue, and could not find. We have HP. We are running the 24/7 cycle with European team, American team, Australian team working in circle, and this already 3 days. Nobody has any clue. Then I realized that one of the person is joining my team very soon as an operations. I just talked to him. Hey, what's going on? Do you happen to know about this? Anything about this problem? He said, Dharam, give me half an hour and I have a solution for you. Really? Okay. And he jumped in and quickly within 15 minutes, problem solved.
Yeah.
So right
Well, it's
person.
it's a leader never is doing all the stuff himself. He is finding the right guys to make analysis and provide solution, and then yeah, he might do the last call. And sometimes if it's really chaotic, he's not even doing the calls because people are doing them themselves.
Yeah.
So I found a good researcher looking at leadership. So if you define the roles and responsibilities in your team and you assign people to these roles, and now they look, do the people you assign really understand the role, what the responsibility is, and what they are supposed to do? And in many cases, they don't get it 100%. They focus on one thing and do that and so on. But what happens then if they have in time they don't get back to the role description, what you intended to design,
Yeah.
but they define their own tasks, and then you have a team of loose cannons. And if it still works, like in that Singapore building, if it
Yeah.
still works, you set the right, let's say, over overarching targets and goals and culture. And so you should concentrate on this high level picture and not go into details, you know.
Yeah, you should not go into too much detail, but yeah, you need to have visibility. You are sitting on the 10,000 feet high and you see everything, how things are moving around. And if something is a blocking, you need to, okay, move this around. So as a leader, you have the big picture. So yeah, Thomas, thank you very much for your contribution, your experience on or reading and watching and then working with some of the mega projects. You shared the experience. It was great. Thank you very much for this.
I'm happy to discuss this, and I'm amazed how we always find additional topics which are related to the whole thing we are doing, and it's for me what I read lately is what is about the difference between a project and a program, and we
Yeah.
are talking about mega projects which are not projects but programs, and and the guy said, projects are coming out of product development, because we're creating
Yeah.
a deliverable, and that's so this is the basis where it was developed, and programs are coming from something else, from strategy development.
Yeah.
So yeah, you develop a way to go forward and to implement a strategy. So I find this very interesting that if we look at mega project, it's about strategy and how to progress and to deliver in the end value for a lot of stakeholders, and maybe next time we can also add a topic to discuss the success of mega projects, because that's also uh, something that is worthwhile making more clear, that success is not the one success. Where we have a lot of stakeholders and everybody thinks maybe something different as success. Um, and it's not even the sum of all these successes, maybe in the end, if you look at programs that are military programs, so uh, let's say the first Iraq war, where Schwarzkopf moving the army to Iraq, this was a huge success from US point of view and a huge failure from Iraq's point of view. Hmm?
Yep, that's right. So we have a lot to talk about this topic. We are not done yet. We have more questions to go through. And in the next session, when we meet, we'll have more discussion about and uh, and let's continue the discussion.
Thank you, Dharam, and enjoy the holidays and have a good start into the new year. Stay healthy.
Thank you, and you too. Yeah, you
Thank you.
continue, and you're doing great, and stay. People love you. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you very much, and see you soon.